I think I'm gonna start doing happy hours every time that we talk and do this segment.
Oh, that's a good idea. You're gonna have a glass of wine?
You can grab one. Mine is gonna be Cabernet or Malbec red wine. Love it. Yours?
Love it. Yeah, I'm with you on the red wine, Pinot Noir, Oregon, all the way. And we should have thought about this ahead of time. We could have done it today. Thanks for having me.
You know what? I never did mimosas of cosmopolitans. And remember what Sex and the City was famous? Everybody want to have a cosmopolitan. I never found anyone that I like.
Oh, well, mimosas I like with grapefruit juice. I think that there's a name for that, but I call it mimosa.
But you know what? The danger of mimosas, because when you put sweet on alcohol, it's going really fast to your head. So when you go to your third mimosa, when you try to stand up, like, whoa, it's Sunday, 11 a.m. What is going on?
That's how you go to bed early on Sunday for Monday.
That's the reason I don't leave my house on Sunday, so I can have as many mimosas as I want.
Safer that way.
Different ages, different backgrounds, different stories. One common denominator: the desire to unleash a powerhouse woman. Selling on heels. Give a girl the right shoes and she will conquer the world. Selling is a craft and a science. Come to learn with us the superpower behind behavior for sales. Human Behavior Hacker School.
Alisha, we talked before to the interview for the prep because you always need to know both parts. And I love that when we have the first meeting, you was wearing an overall and says, oh my God, I have the same overall and all the colors. So you are living in Chicago, working from a company all around the world. But the most important part is how you ended up where you are, because I don't think any girl at the age of, say, 6 years old says, oh, I want to be this badass sales rep, being on top of, like, you want to be ballerina, the first astronaut, but you ended up in a position that most men are not. How you ended up there? How is the beginning of the story?
Yeah, great question. I'm not sure. I'll tell you. You're right. Did not think I wanted to be in sales as a child. I actually... I think the first career I envisioned myself in when I was, about 7 or 8 years old is I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write stories. And I held on to that one for a long time. I was really into creative writing. I wanted to do something creative. For a while, I thought I was going to be a fashion designer until I realized sewing is really hard. I didn't want to do that. But it's interesting because what I found as I grew up on a small farm. My first big experience away from home was undergrad, and I went to a small liberal arts school. But I found that as I was going to school, I got into philosophy. That was my undergrad, and philosophy is pretty much the art of argument and persuasion. So I think it was already kind of in me to be a salesperson, to want to persuade people. And my first sales job was actually one of my summer breaks. I worked selling Cutco cutlery. So essentially door to door. I usually called people before I knocked, but I think I did some door knocking as well, with these really expensive special knives that I,
Okay, wait. You went door to door with knife in your hands, asking people to open the doors.
It was a trusting time.
Yeah, you're my new Indiana Jones. How you did that? I see someone in my door, doesn't matter what is the sex, with a couple of knives saying, hello, I'm not going to open. Hey, I spent all my childhood watching horror movies. Like, you are that.
Well, I guess I was a better salesperson than I thought. I'm not sure now. I wouldn't open the door to me either. I think we trusted a lot more in the early to mid 90s than we do now, because I'm pretty sure no one would open the door to me at this point.
That's for sure.
Yeah, but that's where I cut my teeth, and I just kept finding myself in sales positions. I went into retail sales, mostly always tech. I worked with AT&T Wireless for years, right when just kind of that was blowing up. So it kind of paved the way for tech for me too. And that it was something I think I was always trying to get out of for a good portion of my career. But it's what I was good at. And so I kept doing it.
But it's interesting you talk about philosophy and storytelling. And we have in one of our webinar, Sales Intelligent, a person who trained sales reps how to storytelling sell more than the product, how to tell the story about the product, the company, because now we want to know who you are. People Google you first, Google the company, and after that they Google the product. Basically they're buying Alisha and whatever
Yes.
Alisha bring with. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why some people says that sales rep have an 18-month cycle, because they go to the Rolodex and they go to the next company because they're following you. And it's true. But it's really interesting. I never met anyone who were like a debate expert, because that's what philosophy, that's what lawyers learn philosophy.
Yes.
And a storytelling, how that has helping you from the first job to today, being a storyteller, because I'm imagining that you're still a storyteller, but with a different background or approach.
You know, I think from the very beginning, with philosophy of storytelling, it is always about your audience. It is never about the story you're trying to tell. It's about the story they're trying to hear, or what they care about. When you're trying to persuade someone, you're not telling them what you think makes sense. You've got to tell them what makes sense to them in a language that they can understand. And the earlier that sales reps understand that, the better they will do, and more quickly, I think. We always talk about relaying things back to what's important to our prospects or our customers. But we say it's kind of a mechanical thing that people do, like ticking another box. Well, I relayed that back to them. But I think there has to be kind of a true empathy of, I'm talking not to just a company, I'm talking to an individual, and what resonates with that person, what's going to spark them and make them begin to tell me why what I'm telling them is important, not me just telling them that it's important. So I think that that's something that with philosophy, with storytelling, I got early on, was kind of that other point of view. What's going to make someone else laugh? What's going to engage somebody else?
I have a friend who is a psychologist and says, you always need to blame your parents and your family. And she says, well, you can blame them for the good things. And everybody has somebody in the family who has pushed you, inspire you, or tell you, keep going, never fall again. Or if you fall, get as soon as you can on your feet. Who was that person in your life that pushing you? Can be an aunt, parent, or maybe a neighbor. Sometimes we have two kind of families, the one who life brings us and the one we choose in life. So who was the one who you look at in your childhood to says, Alisha, doesn't matter what happened, keep going?
Yeah, I love that. And I think you make a good point. It's interesting with my immediate family, they weren't as supportive. They were a little bit absent. And so for the audience, I want them to really think about that too, is that that's not necessarily an excuse, because there's somebody, even if it isn't your family, that probably was there encouraging you. You mentioned neighbor. My next door neighbors, I grew up in a rural area, so we didn't have a lot of neighbors close by, but I babysat for them from an early age. And I'm still in contact with them these many years later. They really were an example of support that I maybe should have been getting at home. And I also had, this is kind of just trite, but teachers, there were certain teachers who saw something in me and, that I didn't see in myself. And they would say things like, you be a good teacher, or you're really good at this thing. And those are such little things, but they're really important, I think, for people to pick up on and go, okay, I've got a little something here. I can do this, especially when things are, when things are difficult. So,
having somebody trust you is give you that, like, okay, that person trusts me, that person believe in me, is sometimes it's an excuse to not to fail, because having one person looking at you and having expectation about you, if you know how to utilize that and the other person put the expectation on the right place, it's actually the fuel to make it not to fail and to keep going. Doesn't matter what happened. Like, if that person believe in me, I need to believe in myself and keep going.
I think the first thing is that They just listen. And when I say listen, not just to me complaining or something like that, but they're the people who listen to my goals, who saw the vision that I saw for myself. And so rather than taking me on their terms and thinking about the vision that they have for me or what they think I ought to be, they look and see what I want me to be, and they get on board with that vision. Those people have been the best. But with that, they then challenge me to be that person. So it's not just like, oh, you're doing a good job, go on and be that thing. They then will call out, hey, here's something you're doing this great. This is something you can work on. Here's something you can do better. Always driving me towards, again, my vision of my higher self of where I want to be, not them saying, I think you should do this, so do it this way because that's how I envision it for you. I'll give an example of when I was in graduate school, there was a woman who was helping with some career development, a professor, and she, again, was not in my field or anything like that. And we were working on some grant applications together. And totally not her field, which means the conventions of even what I was writing were not something that she completely grasped. And rather than saying, write it this way because that's the way we do it in our field, she looked at the work and she said, I'm going to trust that you know what's good for your field, but here's what reading it from the outside and probably what the committees will care about, what they're going to ask. And it was so empowering because she didn't have me rearrange everything. She didn't throw everything out. She saw what I was trying to do and she made it stronger. And I was all for it because I trusted her, because she wasn't saying, everything you've done is not what I do. Do it how I do it because I'm successful. And I think it's so important, as a mentor, as a coach, as a teacher, as a leader, is to understand that everybody has their own goals and they have their own unique strengths. And you don't want to squash that. I mean, let them run with what they're good at and then help tweak around the edges, help them get to that place that they're looking to be and be their best selves. And so my mentors have never just laid down and said, oh yeah, you're doing great, no problem. They encourage me and they let me know, yeah, you're okay, you're on the right track, you're going to be okay. But they always push me, always have challenged me. And it's not always easy because there is work to do. Those people I'm forever indebted to as well. Mm-hmm.
Who are the first people who come to your head that business-wise take you to the next level? Says, okay, from the Alisha selling knife door to door, like, to me, it's yes, amazing. I've never heard anything like that. To the Alisha who is today the power woman who you are.
Profiling a customer is the challenge sales reps face every day. What if I tell you you can read anyone in 90 seconds? What if I tell you it can be done? Come to learn with us, Human Behavior Hacker School.
The people, the first people I actually turn to would be the people I manage. I feel like that is always the challenge place, right? Is to lead and help them grow and coach them. And so if I'm not helping them feel secure and helping them to feel like they can get to the next level and empowered while pushing them, then that's where I think I'm first and foremost failing or need to make some adjustments. So
to be clear, teaching others make you a better professional.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's, because it's such a fine line to walk where you want to, how do you encourage someone to do better without squashing their spirit, right? Helping them to see the vision or to capture a vision of what excellence looks like and to push towards that. And then again, work around those edges and kind of chip away at some of the rough edges and help them to understand it's for their highest good, and so that's the first place I go. I also go to my counterparts or my colleagues to get feedback from them directly. What do you need from me? What do you think I could be doing better? Where are you seeing my weaknesses? And not waiting for, for the audience. Typically you're going to have, quarterly or every 6 months, or at least an annual review, not waiting for a review, constantly asking for feedback, whether it's on a project, whether it is just in a general situation. But, that humility is absolutely huge. My leader that I report to, also every time we meet, what do you need from me? What could I be doing better? Even if he says nothing right now, because it's only been a week since we've spoken, I need to ask, because I want to make sure. And that, if anyone doubts, if anyone's afraid to ask for that feedback for fear of what's going to happen, think about a circumstance where you did not get feedback and you're cranking along and you think everything's great, and then you suddenly get a whole bunch of bad feedback, and how that feels. Because then you just think, well, why didn't you tell me? I could have fixed it. I'll give you a funny example. This is way a long time ago. I was working in the admissions office over the school year when I was an undergrad, filing and things like that. And I'm absolute garbage at filing, it turns out.
Welcome to the club.
I had a lot of paper cuts and apparently a lot of misalphabetized stuff. But I did it the whole year. And then in the summer, I wanted to work in the office for the summer. I thought, this is a no-brainer. I'll apply. I'm already doing the job. I did not get the job. You know why I didn't get the job? It turns out that I was crummy at filing, but no one had told me the entire year. I mean, they could have saved themselves crappy filing if they just told me, so I think I was hurt. I was like, why wouldn't you tell me this? You saved my feelings.
I'm sorry, only to be clear, you was hurt because nobody gave you feedback to
because
have been improved.
Yeah, it's embarrassing to think I was doing a bad job all year long. Just because they didn't want to hurt my feelings, basically. They could have told me, hey, you're not the best at filing. You should try a little harder. I would have done a better job. And, maybe I would have had the summer gig, but at the very least I would have grown from that. And so I think that if you're not getting feedback, hunt for it. There's always something we could be doing better. I feel like it's empowering. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? One of the things that I always do when I need to hire somebody new on the team, then we was talking that everybody on the team, some people can say it's racist, but that's how we ended up. They're all single moms or stay-home mom all around the world, working in different time zones. And the company never been so productive because we are giving the chance to people who have been told before, you cannot make it. And now they have a place to shine. And believe me, some people's like, holy cow, who are you? You has nothing to do with the person that I hired a year ago. But my question is like, okay, your resume, you see? So what I do is on the interview, I crush the resume and then I print and threw into the trash. And like, everybody look awesome on paper. Tell me about yourself. Yes. But don't sell yourself. Tell me what you want to do. Tell me who you want to be. Tell me how we can take you to be there. And people look at me like, nobody asked me before, like, I know that the reason we're different. And everybody who answered with dreams, what they want to be is people that we hire, because we want people who have dreams, who want to have like, I have 4 kids, but I want to be something else than a wife and a mom. I want to have a career. I want to teach my daughters that you can have it all. I can go further. So it's about like, when people hire others for the team, sometimes they're so stick on that the questions that they need to be doing, they're not doing the most important questions. What do you want? Because maybe you have been holding jobs to pay for your tuition, to pay for your mortgage, but who you can be and how much you can bring to my company is coming from what do you want? Yeah. And not telling you that you was horrible in filing. They couldn't have somebody who have the guts to, again, selling knife door to door. That's take guts. I would have put you in like customer service or taking care of the new alumni because you have that driving. So I don't think the mistake was on you, it was on the people who managed you.
Right. And it's, I think that when you get feedback, when you're missing the mark somewhere, it's not a matter of you can't. It's not saying you can't do something. It's just saying you're not doing that so well right now, but you can do better. That's what feedback is. It's not, well, I see that you did poorly at this and you're pretty much garbage and you're never going to be able to do it. It's saying, I know you can do better than that, so let's get there. And you know, that's the spirit in which we should take feedback is, okay, I can do that. That's a fix I can make. You know, and start taking strides. And if it's something that seems like a major fix, whoever's given the feedback should also be willing to help you. Or, you know, if not, you can definitely find places that you can get help to make those strides. You know, as long as you have the desire to be who it is you are meant to be.
Most salespeople measure their success on the numbers at the end of the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the learning process, maybe your numbers are not doing great, but your growing process is taking you there. So somebody decide to go to sales for whatever reason they fail then, and they're not doing the numbers, but they're growing as a person and they grow as a professional. What advice you're going to give to like, okay, your numbers are not there, but look at yourself who you was on the quarter before and what you learned and how you move forward.
Right. Yeah, I just think that growth in the knowledge, the growth in whatever it is you're selling, there's going to be that learning curve that's very steep in terms of knowing what it is you're selling, but then being able to talk about it fluently. There's always that phase of learning the buzzwords and how everyone talks about it, but maybe not understanding it yet. So progress is also when you hit that point where you say the buzzwords, but you know what you're saying too. You know what they mean and you can use that information. That's a major milestone. And that's really where things start to break through, I think, for salespeople as well. So those are the kinds of things, you know, that I look at. And then there is a certain point where you start to turn the corner and you start to build that momentum where the numbers happen. And maybe it's not snap your fingers and quota, but you do start to get those wins. And once you get the wins, you start to see what it feels like. You start to understand what it is that you're doing well that got you to that win that you can keep replicating. So a lot of it is in practice. Anyone new, you know, to anything that I've coached or trained on, when they're starting, I always start with this is going to hurt. It's, you know, you're going to be uncomfortable at some point. If you are not uncomfortable at some point, you're doing it wrong. You are not pushing hard enough if you feel like you've got this 100% the whole way, because there's going to be things you've just not done before, and that's okay. It's part of the process.
When the surgeon says, until I don't break your nose, I cannot make it right. And some people is not willing to go to the process because they're too afraid to be painful. Or like, I've been doing this it's happened to me when I do some sales training, like, I've been doing this for 20 years. What else you going to teach me? Like, well, what was the last time you have a promotion? What was the last time you have a bonus? Like, now you have the answer. Because you have been doing it doesn't mean that you don't know how to evolve. So we need to break the nose and put it back together.
Absolutely.
One of the questions I always ask is why you learn from your mentors. I'm going to make it an opposite because I love that you're so open and you're so raw. I like that, Alisha. I really appreciate that. That is what your mentors on the sales market fail to teach you.
That is a difficult question. Let me think about.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you in a.
No,
we shouldn't have the mimosa right now.
Bring it on. Give it to me. You know, I think that time usually is there. I think it's understanding, in the sense that
thinking on Alisha needs know what they want to teach you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, again, going back to where am I at? So meeting me where I'm at and encouraging that incremental growth. But I think also there is a sense of like it's okay that you're not all the way there right now, you know? And I have to say that with my mentors, the ones that I count as mentors, I think they did all of that. So as I'm thinking, trying to think of the example, I'm actually thinking of the people, and this is something that could be really important and relevant for the audience. Most often your mentors are not your boss, the people who are labeled as your mentor, the ones they assign to you, whatever. The person that's like, hi, this is mentor, that's your mentor, that's usually not the mentor. Your mentor is someone who usually organically.
You choose your mentors. They didn't choose you.
Yes, you choose your mentor, and they become your mentor because they are doing those things, because they do meet you where you are. They see your potential. They see what you're striving for, and they work with you to help you get there from a place that you're at. I think that if we're thinking about where leadership falls short, is that often you might have managers who are only talking about the numbers, and that is it. And, for them, it's like there's point A and there's point B. You're at point A, get to point B. And that's the instruction they give. And it's like, but what should I do between A to get to, they don't give, they just say your numbers are here, make your numbers there, poof, do it.
And how? How is sometimes the how is missing. Like, okay, can you bake a cake? Like, okay, I see X flour, but how I put it together, like, everybody can do it. Like, no, I can, because I never was taught. So don't assume because I'm a good sales rep, I know how to sell this product. I need to know about it. So like, don't give me flowers and egg because I don't know what the heck to do with it.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, if you've sold before, but then you go to a new product, that again is a whole nother learning curve. So you have to be gracious with yourself, and ideally they're gracious with you too, that maybe you know how to sell, but do you know how to sell this product, and this to this customer base? Because there are subtle differences between the types of personas, companies, et cetera, that you would be working with. So, I think the mentors usually, because they are mentors, they usually are hitting the mark. Otherwise they wouldn't be your mentors. They're doing pretty well. It's, which is why the people who you're working pro bono for, there's that thing, right? It's fitting. Well, the people who are paying you are like, it feels more transactional to them. So they're probably not as open to everything as someone who's like just hungry for it, and you guys are just having that relationship. I think recognizing that if you are not getting something from your leadership that you'd expect to be getting from your leadership, to folks out there, go find a mentor, find someone who will help you get what you're not getting, because you can't force your leaders to do that for you. They either are going to do it or they're not, and often they don't, sadly, but that's just the way it is.
How you choose a mentor, beside the knowledge, and not only how you are you going to make a composed question. So how you choose a mentor and how you approach to us to be mentee.
Well, I think the first thing is there are a couple of ways that you end up with mentors. Some people you just click with and they become mentors, and it was never formalized or anything that you expected. They're essentially friends, but friends who are helping you elevate your game in a way that not just, hanging out on Sunday afternoon would normally be. So that, that just happens. And I think being aware of those assets that person has and what you can learn from them as you're spending time with them, and then starting to ask questions and, engaging with them in a way that you're getting, how are you doing this? I appreciate how good you are with this aspect of your work. How do you do that? How did you get to where you are? That's just kind of the natural, organic way. The asking, I think, is, you see someone that you admire typically. I've been on both sides of this, and it is kind of like, oh, it's a little flattering when someone asks. But when you see someone, you go, wow, impressive. I want to be where they are. I appreciate this person. I think I like this person too. I think it's important to have that a little bit of a connection that you like them. And then I think you just have to ask. I mean, I've never had to camp out in front of anyone's house. thankfully so far, but now I'm encouraged that if I ever have to, I'm going to go for it. But yeah, I've just asked, and have a reason, because typically those people are being asked by a lot of people. They're being pulled on by a lot of people to mentor. Everyone wants a piece of them. So, I typically will shoot out a message. Hey, we met at this panel, or this, we talked at this event. I would really love to sit down with you over coffee, my treat, or a drink, and just pick your brain or talk to you a little bit about your work. And then go, typically you'll find some time. They usually say yes, or you might have to be a little more tenacious depending.
Like sitting in the front of the house for 2 years.
If you sit in front of the, however long it takes, you get that coffee or that drink, and then go with prepared questions. So, you have to go in not just like, oh, we're just having a drink now and we're just going to shoot the breeze like it's happy hour. It's happy hour, yes. But go in explicitly saying, you have some things that I'm really impressed with and I want to learn from you, and I have some questions, and be ready. And you can
basically be prepared to say why I want you to be mentoring me, or at least answer these questions. And I have, be prepared, like, oh my God, I love you. Like, why?
Yeah.
Tell me why you love me. Tell me what you want to know. Like, I don't know how to go from that phase. Like, be prepared. What I would say is one of the most important things. Be
Absolutely.
prepared when you finally get to meet your idol, because everybody have a idol in their own field and their own work. Like, why you're my idol, and get the questions. So it shows that you did your homework in order to take you really in consideration to be mentee.
Yeah. And let them know what it is that you're looking for, because there have been occasions where, I've been speaking with someone, and what they did was they said, yeah, I'll definitely mentor you. But you know what? Based on what you're telling me, I'm also going to make some connections for you. And they've reached out to other people and connected me on that level too. And so there are a lot of things that that you can get out of those approaching someone, which they might say, I've got someone better for you for what you're looking for. Let me hook you up with them and make those connections as well. So, just
that
be
is awesome.
Don't be, it's great. And that just shows you how cool these people are too. But, there's not enough time on this earth to be afraid. I mean, you have to ask. The worst that's going to happen is no. And guess what? We're salespeople, so we should be used to that. We get no all the time. So, and if no's not acceptable, then figure out get a referral, or keep hounding them until you get a yes. Whatever it is, you got to fight for what you need, and hopefully you don't have to fight too hard. But,
do you have any conditions when somebody want to have you as a mentor? Mine is, okay, we're going to talk on Sunday, 7 p.m. Like 7 p.m. Sunday. Like, yeah, if you really are serious about to become a profiler, it's going to be Sunday, 7 p.m. Why? Because you're usually going to be watching a game and you're going to be really comfortable. You need to show me you are really committed to do this.
I need them to come with specific goals. So, what are your goals? What are you trying to do next? Are you just coming for kind of life coaching and counseling? Do you just need to talk through stuff with someone? Because
you need a therapist.
I'm not a therapist, that's for sure. So I'm the wrong person. Sometimes I end up wearing that hat, and I'm maybe not the best at it. So what are we working towards for you? Because if you don't have goals, I'm not going to establish any goals for you, and we're just spinning our wheels and having conversations. But if you know where you're trying to get, we can take some tangible steps together, and I can help you figure out what you need to do to get there. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is they come with tangible goals that we establish, like you say, regular times to meet, and that there's going to be homework. And are you doing your homework in between? Because they're doing all the work. I mean, I guess it is therapy in the sense that it's helping them to understand for themselves what next steps need to be, and kind of agreeing upon which direction they're heading, and how to get there. I don't want to dictate down to someone, do this, do that, because it's not a formula, right? Their path to success is not going to be the same as mine, but they're kind of in charge of that. So you're going to get what you put into it. If you're not putting anything into it, then this mentorship relationship is going to peter out, which is fine with me because that means I have more time on my hands. But if someone's willing to put in the work, I'm all for it. I think it's exciting. It's fun to see the growth. It's fun to see people's light bulbs come on. I think that anyone who chooses to be a mentor probably feels the same way, which is why they do it. I think going in as a mentee, it's so important to understand that people who are coaching you, for the most part, when they critique you, when they coach, it is for your well-being, especially when they've got no skin in the game besides the fact that they're mentoring you, right? Especially if there's no money involved, they want to see you succeed. So maybe you don't like the feedback, or it makes you feel some kind of way, or they hurt your feelings. But at the end of the day, all that they're getting out of it is your success. If you're not successful, then they're not successful. You guys are tied to each other. You're bound to each other in that relationship. It's all about your success. And so remembering that when you're getting that feedback, that it really is still all about you. And what mentor wants to be like, yeah, my mentee totally failed. Sweet. I crushed their spirit.
Nobody get on you. Nobody push you. Nobody's mean to you if you don't mean something to them. So if somebody's pushing you, pay attention why they do it. Maybe they seen something on you that you haven't seen yet. So instead to be so emotional, step ahead and like, why this person is giving me such a hard time, but keep giving me such a hard time every week? Is wasting their time telling me that I can do better. So maybe I need to look at myself and says, what they seen that I haven't seen myself yet, then I should be paying attention.
Right. And even if it's something where they're not correct, or there's always a grain of truth, right? So you got to find that nugget, that gold in the criticism, and take that and run with it and let the rest go. Because if it's really not true what they're saying, then you don't have to worry about it. They missed the mark. But there's gonna be something in there that is worth taking a look at and saying, I can fix that. I can tweak that. Let that fuel you forward. So
Alisha, we talk so much about your past, and you says, I don't know what we were gonna talking about. Like, girl, we can talk for 5 hours. You're never in it. Like, it's amazing. Right. Like, you see?
I know, it just goes so fast.
Yeah, like, what we're going to talk about, like, oh, believe me, we're going to have a lot to talk about it. We never talk about where you are today and how you ended up. So we're going to do a huge gap since we talk a lot. And I love what we talk about because nobody talk about the things that make you afraid, like the no questions, like the failures, how to get there, how you start. And you have been so open, and I really, really thank you for all the people who is in sales. And like, I've been failing, but I can become that person. If I fail, it's a way to learn. So you are in what field and how you ended where you are today in your own words?
So I am a manager of a business development team with a fintech company called Affirm. I've been in tech sales for a while, but I have to say it's not a straight line. So I started in wide area network sales, telecom, years and years ago. Did that for about 10 plus years. And then went and got my PhD in education policy. Came back out of school, and the academic market wasn't what I wanted it to be, at least where I wanted to move to. And
wait, you tried to go back to academic? One time, more than once.
Yes, so I had a full career in sales. I had been out about 13 years before I went back and got my PhD. So took a 6-year detour. Again, not a straight line. And then came back to sales after that. What I found was after doing the PhD, my sales game was much stronger. Oddly, because again, back to that audience question of, you know, when you're doing research, when you're writing, when you're teaching others, as I was in graduate school, it really is about what we called significance, or what I now call the big so what question mark. What's in it for me? You know, the WIFM and sales people will say. I that really drove home for me during my studies. So I came out with a renewed sense of why I'm good at sales, why I actually love sales, and how I could help other people be better in sales. So yeah, the company I'm at, it's interesting. I will share if we talk about failures, or I guess it's not a failure, learning experiences. So I went to a company prior to this, which was wonderful because no one wanted to talk to me with a PhD, regardless of my sales experience, because they were like, that's weird, and I don't trust that you're going to stick around. Like I know better now, but I probably also interviewing would be suspect of someone coming out of a PhD program into sales if they're going to stick around. But they took me on. Awesome product, cut my teeth on, you know, selling virtually as well, which I hadn't been doing before. I'd been doing face-to-face before. So a lot of, you know, just caught me back up what I'd missed in the last 6 years. And I went into management there, but I will share that there was in that space, leadership that was not as supportive as it could be. And you know, it was a lot of growth for me, learning how to lead and manage and be a better manager, but also learning when to cut bait on a situation and to find another opportunity. And I think that's something for women that's really important, is to know when to move. How long to stick it out, where to take ownership of what you need to do to be your best in whatever role you're in, but then when to know how you should move on or whether you should move on. And I have to say that things were uncomfortable enough that for me that I started looking, and I was actually transparent and said, I'm going to have to look because I think that I deserve more pay. I deserve some other things. It's not personal. That's just where I'm at in my career. And I found, you know, the opportunity that I'm at right now. And it has been amazing, the difference in support and recognizing that was an amazing stepping stone in my career where I was at. But I'm really in a very, very good place now, and really kind of jumped leaps and bounds ahead in a lot of areas by making this move. It's something that I probably, will be honest, would have been too afraid to do had the previous situation not become so uncomfortable for me that I felt like I didn't have a choice. And so I would encourage anyone listening to learn from me and not wait until you don't have a choice. Pay attention, continue to grow and learn everything you can wherever you are at. But also recognize that you're never stuck, that you have skills and talents, and that you can grow into something else, and you're worthy of asking for what you deserve. I think especially in this current time, in this economy that is not the best and becoming ever more uncertain, that fear, and I've been through 2 other recessions, that fear makes a lot of people sit and hold firm in one place because it's safe. But, you know, be conscious of what makes sense for your financial situation. But safe isn't always the best solution. You know, you've got to be a little fearless out there.
Everybody have an embarrassing moment.
Oh, man.
Okay, you can have more than one.
Oh my gosh, this is really hard because Here's the
You
thing.
have too many, or you don't want to share it?
Well, I have too many, but the ones I have to share, I don't think are learning experiences.
Oh, you know what? It needs to be funny. This is okay. This is two girls having fun talking to other ladies about life, and I hope they sharing with us with a glass of wine, relax on the bathtub. I'm like, oh, hearing these two crazy talking about sex.
So I'm gonna tell you a story. This is not going to be a learning experience story. It's a mortifying story, and I'm not sure I've ever told anyone this. So hello, everyone. But I will say I'm sure I have a lot of learning experiences that could be embarrassing moments. For instance, not getting a job that I already had. But
oh my God.
But I think that part of me also, just those things, I don't know if I call them embarrassing moments. I'm just like, that happened. I messed up or whatever. So I was, I used to do a lot of face-to-face sales. I can't believe I'm telling this story. It probably won't even be that embarrassing to you, but I was mortified. And I was sitting in this office. I was an account manager at the time. So I had a relationship with this company, and it was one of my last meetings with them. And so I'm sitting in the office with my two contacts, and it is like, I'm in work clothes. It's like 95 degrees in this office. Oh my God. So we're powering through, and I'm just dripping through under my clothes. And I stand up at the end of the meeting, and I had been sitting on a cloth chair, and there's a wet spot where I'd been sitting. I've never told anyone about this. And I looked down and I see it, and they saw it, and there was nothing. It was like, okay, thanks for the meeting. All right. And I just left, and I was like, do I email about that? Do I not? Oh my God. And so I did email the woman, and I said, thanks again for the meeting. It was really hot in there. That was sweat. I promise.
You want me to take the chair to the dry cleaning? You want me to get in your chair?
Be on your chair. Mortifying. Thank God it was the last meeting I had with them. I don't think I ever could have gone back to that office.
What happened? They replied to your email?
She didn't respond.
Really?
Mortifying. I mean,
you never met anyone on that meeting again? You never have any feedback about the situation? Because I was about to go to
grad school. It was my last meeting with that company. Yeah. It's just out there. It's just out there in the world. She probably tells stories about the sales rep that peed on her chair to this day.
But you didn't pee. You were sweating.
It was sweat. If someone wants to have a fulfilling career, yes, money can happen. All those things can happen, but you've got to define for yourself the things that feed you, that will keep you going when you're doing the grunt work, because there's never going to be 100% of the work you do that you love. So what feeds you, and are you doing something that lets you do that? Then the rest of the work is fine, because that piece is not work for you. So
Alisha, we have so many things that we can keep going. I cannot wait for the pandemic to end, because, by the way, Alisha and I, we met online. We have a lot of friends in common. We crossed paths even as neighbors path in Chicago, but we never met in person. We own Pinot Grigio for you, Pinot Noir for you, Malbec for me, and a couple of more. So we have fun. Alisha, if you are yourself and you're 10 years old and you listen to this podcast, three advices that you would give to yourself to get in a better way to the place you are.
As my 10-year-old self, one,
never give up on the overall. They look awesome on you.
Yeah, and keep those overalls, although they would not fit now. Be fearless is number one. Just don't be afraid. Two, ask questions. Just ask questions the whole way. And I think three, I wish I had sought mentorship earlier. I think I waited till later in my career to find mentors and to find that guidance. I think for me, asking for help admitting I didn't know everything or not finding all the answers myself felt like weakness. And I think just realizing that no, that's strength, and people will help you get to where you need to faster. So just humble yourself. You don't have all the answers. Get out there and ask for help and be fearless about it.
A new question that I have, and I didn't ask the people we record before, so we need to go back. If you can be a superhero, if you have an avatar, who was your superhero when you was a kid?
Oh man.
Can Spider-Man, Superman, or you can make your own? Which one is yours?
Actually, I had some Wonder Woman underoos, and I thought I was Wonder Woman in my invisible jet with the bracelets. So I think I'm probably still Wonder Woman. And she's really cool now, right? So after the movie, I especially want to be her.
She had the true lace. So when you get on the lace, you need to tell them the truth. So that's badass.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's right. So I think I'm sticking with that one as Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Good for you. Alisha, thank you very much for having such a relaxed, honest, and open conversation. I'm sure that it's a lot of people or ladies who just starting or going in the middle, like, I can do it. Now I know I'm normal. Shit happens and never is going to be perfect, but I need to be fearless, like you said. Thank you very much for your honesty.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
See you next one.
See you soon.
Profiling a customer is the challenge sales reps face every day. What if I tell you you can read anyone in 90 seconds? What if I tell you it can be done? Come to learn with us, Human Behavior Hacker School. Different ages, different backgrounds, different stories. One common denominator, the desire to unleash a powerhouse woman. Selling on heels. Give a girl the right shoes and she will conquer the world.